Walking into a room in a video game and overpowering every enemy you can see with devastating abilities can be a lot of fun. Tearing foes apart with incredible strength, chaining together combos of fast-paced moves, engaging intense firefights. Games have never really been short on ideas of how to empower players to defeat enemies. But as enjoyable as it can be to get into an enemy's face and overpower them with pure strength and skill, there's something so incredibly satisfying about doing it all while hiding in the shadows. Before we begin, please consider subscribing and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon. With that out of the way, let's get started. Staying out of sight, systematically dispatching foes one by one, remaining hidden and overcoming the odds. These are the tenets that stealth games are built around, and when they're properly put to use in gameplay mechanics, there's nothing else quite like them. The stealth genre has grown dramatically over the years, becoming increasingly more complex and, in turn, engaging as time has gone on. But the central premise of hiding from enemies while finding ways to either defeat them or navigate around them has been in games for, well, as long as games have existed.
Hi there.
Hi.
You're not going easy on me, are
Not so tight, that hurts.
you? Sorry about that.
Even back in the 1970s, when the stealth genre wasn't really a genre, arcade games often employed that as a central mechanic, at a time when it wasn't nearly as popular or as well loved as it is in today's day and age. In many ways, however, the first ever notable stealth game released in 1981, in the form of Castle Wolfenstein. The Wolfenstein is now widely known as a pioneer of the first-person shooter genre. Before Wolf 3D rebooted it in that form, the series was focused mostly on stealth, with players being tasked with exploring the titular castle, stealing secret Nazi plans, and making their escape, all while sneaking past enemies and avoiding guards through a variety of ways. In the years after that, there were a few more significant games that would go on to further strengthen the notion that stealth mechanics could be central to a game, most notably with the likes of Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 for the MSX. Even though the stealth genre remained pretty sparsely populated for a long time afterward, and it wasn't until well over a decade later in the late 1990s that a number of critically and commercially successful games firmly established stealth as an actual genre in and of itself. The likes of Thief, The Dark Project, Metal Gear Solid, and Tenchu Stealth Assassins all came out within a few months of each other, and were notable for a number of reasons. Tenchu was the first ever 3D stealth game. Thief was notable for pushing not only stealth games, but immersive sims as well. While Metal Gear Solid, with its blockbuster production values and its focus on cinematic storytelling, proved that stealth games could be as much of a mass-market appeal as any other genre. The influx of excellent stealth games in the late 1990s continued into the early 2000s as well. Metal Gear Solid 2 came along in 2001 and was lauded for its systemic depth and its excellent stealth mechanics. Deus Ex took player freedom to greater heights than ever before, allowing those who preferred the sneaky approach to build their character in a manner that would allow them more options in stealth than they would know what to do with. Hitman, codenamed 47, launched in 2000 and introduced players to an entirely new form of stealth, focused on social mechanics and hiding in plain sight. Its sequel came out a couple of years later and doubled down on that, and in the same year we got Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, which took cues from the likes of Metal Gear Solid, James Bond, Thief, and more to deliver a seminal stealth experience. Meanwhile, 2002's Sly Cooper provided a more lighthearted take on stealth while blending it with platforming mechanics. A couple of years later, Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow delivered more tightly crafted stealth action, and around the same time, Metal Gear Solid 3 came along as possibly the greatest stealth game of its time. Clearly, the stealth genre was flying high by this time. The creative juices were flowing throughout the industry, and developers everywhere were finding new ways to push themselves and the genre to even greater heights. Excellent sequels in major franchises like Metal Gear Solid, Hitman, Splinter Cell, and more continue to take the industry by storm, while newcomers also kept coming along and planting their own flags in the ground. In 2009, we got Batman Arkham Asylum, which not only turned out to be the best Batman game at the time of its release and a blueprint for how to make excellent superhero video game adaptations, but also, as the meme goes, really made us feel like Batman. The last decade, too, has been an eventful one for the stealth genre. There have been a lot of ups and downs, and with some of the old guard having receded into the background, most notably with the likes of Metal Gear Solid and Splinter Cell, the stealth genre definitely has suffered a few blows. But that's not to say that there haven't been any highlights. In fact, there's been a whole truckload of them. Arkane's Dishonored games once again crafted spectacular, immersive sim stealth experiences, taking several pages out of the Thief series book. Deus Ex returned and delivered 2 excellent stealth experiences. Hitman got rebooted and ended up seeing the launch of some of the best stealth games we've ever played. Alien Isolation combined stealth and horror in a tense and heart-pounding experience like no other. And of course, even Naughty Dog got in on the action with The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2, which might just be some of the most expertly crafted linear stealth games ever made. And of course, we'd be remiss not to mention all of the excellent stealth games that have been developed by indie developers in the last decade or so. From Mark of the Ninja to Invisible Ink, from Little Nightmares and its sequel to Amnesia: The Dark Descent, there's been a plethora of fantastic stealth games from relatively smaller developers over the years. And even where the more high-profile releases are concerned, there's been so many others throughout the years that we haven't even had the chance to touch on in this feature. Manhunt, the Chronicles of Riddick games, and many, many others. It may have taken a while for the genre to get off the ground, but ever since they broke out into the mainstream, stealth games have been a force to be reckoned with, even with all of the ups and downs that they've been through. And like anything else that's popular and successful, mechanics from the genre have bled over into other genres as well. Whether you're playing a shooter, an RPG, a platformer, an open-world action game, or something else entirely, stealth mechanics manage to find their way into a large number of games these days, to some extent or the other. Now, it's impossible to tell exactly what the future is going to look like where the stealth genre is concerned, especially when the next couple of years or so do not seem to have any major stealth releases lined up. But one thing that we can all be sure of is that, in the long term, one way or another, stealth games will endure. And with that, we reached the end of the video. Have anything to say? Let us know in the comments below. Also, we upload new videos every single day on GamingBolt, so please consider subscribing as it really helps us out. Thanks for watching.